Welcome to Sounding Board, a production of Seroptimus International of Novato. Today we'll be talking to Casey Reinhardt and Sarah Hellmuller, both recipients of the Violet Richardson Award, given out this year by the Novato Seroptimus Club. And this award is given to young women ages 14 to 17 whose volunteer activities make their community and the world a better place. And this award is named after Violet Richardson, who herself was a big activist and the president of Seroptimus International, the first president in 1921. Before I introduce these two amazing young women, a word about Seroptimus. Our mission is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to economic and social empowerment. I'm Barbara Herwick, and I'll be your moderator today. Welcome, Casey and Sarah.
Thank you.
And congratulations on winning this Violet Richardson Award. Very cool. And before we start, can you just tell us what grade you're in, where you are at school?
I'm in 10th grade at Novato High School.
And I'm a senior at San Marin. I'll be going to UC Berkeley in the fall.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Casey, you've worked for the Marin Humane Society since you were 10 years old, making videos about older cats needing to get adopted. And Sarah, you have been in Girl Scouts since first grade.
First grade, yeah.
And you've done service projects internationally as well as in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So you both have these extremely different projects, different service projects, but you share the same passion for giving back to the world, giving back to your community. So let's start with you, Casey, and let's show our audience your film on Blue and Noodle.
Father, weary soul, you drive back to the home you made on the mountainside. Without a terrible thing, there's papers for to wash and a lonely ring. You sit on your porch and pluck your strings. Oh, and you'll find somebody you can blame. And you'll follow the creek that runs out into the sea. And you'll find the peace of the Lord.
So I have to ask, did Noodle and Blue get adopted?
They did, in fact, get adopted.
I bet they got adopted right away.
Yes, actually, the couple that adopted them saw the video on the Humane Society's Facebook page, and they drove all the way from their home to the Humane Society the day after they saw it and went right in and adopted both the cats.
Were you there when they came in?
I wasn't, but they did send me multiple pictures of the cats before and after, and they're looking a lot healthier and happier, and the couple was really happy about it too.
Oh, that must be so satisfying.
Yeah, very much.
And so how did you originally come up with the idea of really being interested in having older cats being adopted?
Yeah, well, it really started when I first started volunteering, and also the fact that I kind of grew up with an animal background. I had our first cat was actually deaf, and hearing about her story and having to go through the adoption process can be really difficult for a lot of older animals. And when I was doing the after-school programs, I would see that a lot of the cages just had the same cats for months and sometimes over years.
Really?
And it was just really sad because you got to see all these animals that deserve to be in better homes.
And how did you even get started at volunteering for the Marin Humane Society?
Well, that again goes back to the love of animals and kind of wanting to help the community. I was actually in Girl Scouts for a while when I was younger, and we got to do a lot of different things, and one of them was we got to donate to the shelter, and that's kind of when I first got introduced to it. And along with that, when I was younger, I'd always have my mom kind of bring me in and let me visit the cats, kind of as a reward almost sometimes. And I'd get to see these people there and be inspired by them volunteering, and it kind of made me want to go forward and do that.
Were you the youngest volunteer?
I actually was one of the youngest there, which was really nice. And
At 10 years old?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And what do you generally do when you're at the Marin Humane Society when you're not videoing?
Well, it depends. When I was doing my internship, I got to do lots of different things around the Humane Society, from working at the adoption desk and taking calls and helping people, which was really great because I got inspired by people that were interested in adopting, and they'd ask me about volunteering, which was really great. I could actually help people that wanted to volunteer and tell them about the program. I got to help in the back with some of the stray animals and kind of hear their stories. And then I also got to work cleaning windows, cleaning cages, kind of start there and then move forward.
Well, one thing I meant to ask you after we saw the film is, how did you shoot this film? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so they have kind of small rooms for the cats rather than cages so that they have more places to roam, which is really nice for them. And I usually go in and I'll sit with the cat first and socialize with it, which is really helpful because it not only helps the cat get used to having me in there, it's actually one of the volunteer positions, and it can help the cats further with the adoption process because they'll be more warmed up to people, as well as when I pull out my camera, which is a little bit bigger. It's a Canon T5i, so they kind of get used to it, and in a lot of my shots you see them come up really close to the camera and kind of sniff around at it, and so it's really nice to see that.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out how you did that and not get the animals blurry. That's a feat. So you usually get to meet the families that adopt, or it just depends if you're there?
It depends on if I'm there or not. Sometimes they'll call me and tell me, oh, this family's really interested in this cat you filmed. Can you come and tell them about it or tell them about volunteering? And in some cases, like when I first started and filmed Enzo, the first cat I filmed, I actually got to go to the couple's home and meet them, and it was just a really great experience to kind of see how they had bonded with the cat and they had kind of fallen in love with the idea of volunteering. They actually started donating to the Humane Society and looking for places to volunteer themselves.
Oh, very cool. And so you did start the Enzo Foundation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was an interesting process because I didn't really know where to start, especially because I was so young and kind of really unsure about how to talk to other people and make things happen. But the director of education at the time, she kind of helped me with making emails, and she was really inspiring because she was this young woman who was kind of a go-getter and volunteering in her community. And from there I decided that I wanted to start an organization where I could help other people volunteer as well, and it just kind of set off from there.
So how does it work exactly?
So basically, I'm just going in and filming on weekends and when I can, and then other people at the shelter will sometimes come and help me, and I also have friends that are like kind of in the organization that kind of help, so it's really good.
And then do you do all your own editing?
Yes, I do all my own editing. Yeah.
Wow. And so how many films have you made for the Humane
I've made
Society?
around 12 to 15. I don't really know exactly how many because I started when I was a lot younger. They were on iPads, not the best quality, but yeah.
And are they all now on the Marin Humane Society website?
Yes, they're on the Marin Humane Society website as well as their Facebook page.
Oh, their Facebook page
Yes.
too. And you said the success rate of adoptions.
Yes, it jumped after I started doing films, which was really great, and it was really exciting to see.
What about kittens? Do you get involved with kittens?
I actually foster at the Humane Society too, so we take in newborn kittens that were left at the Humane Society. They actually had somebody drop off like 30 cats, and we got to foster some of the kittens, and I got to film some of them, and it was crazy at the Humane Society. So I was volunteering double time and getting to meet all these new volunteers, and it was just a really crazy experience.
So what project are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm just working on getting films out there and kind of stretching out the volunteering, and I also I kind of want to go a little bit broader. I heard about this man in Syria. He actually started a little sanctuary for cats that were left homeless because of the bombing and destructions. And I've been thinking about talking with the Marine Humane Society and working together to coordinate a way to bring out food and supplies and maybe have vets go out there and kind of help with keeping the sanctuary alive because it got bombed and they had to start up all over again, and I would really like to help be a part of that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then you got nominated for the Heart of Marin Award.
Yeah.
What was that?
So I originally got nominated as Volunteer of the Year, and from there they decided to nominate me for the Heart of Marin Award, which is a organization that awards volunteers in Marin and sometimes in California. And it was a really cool experience. I got to go in, I was one of the youngest there, and I got to meet all these really amazing volunteers who did things such as making glasses for people that needed it and couldn't afford it, and many other stories, which was really interesting.
And so let's stop now and watch your second film. So thank you, Casey. We'll come back to you in a minute, but let's turn our attention to Sarah. And if you're just joining us, Sarah is also a recipient of the Violet Richardson Award, which recognizes young women from the ages of 14 to 17 that are making a difference in their community and the world. So Sarah, you started in the Girl Scouts in first grade in Petaluma?
Yeah, in Petaluma. It was mostly with my classmates. So my mom just formed a troop for us, and we did the simple arts and crafts activities, earned badges, so fun stuff like that.
And were you taken with it right away? I mean, did you know this was going to become a passion?
Honestly, it was just something I did with my friends. I don't really remember a big part of community service or any big push for me to change my community yet. I was still super young, and it was more about doing patches and fun art activities and hanging out with my friends, and also being inspired by the older girls and just working with them and making lanyards. That was a big part of it too. So not yet, I hadn't realized it yet.
Right.
But.
And did you start to realize it when you went first overseas?
Yeah, so when I moved overseas in 2010, not right away, but Girl Scouts became a way for me to meet other people who had lived overseas and become friends with them and really get to understand their experiences. And I think that's where I kind of saw where service came in, because Asia is definitely different from the U.S., a different culture, a different economic, I guess, like strata.
Right.
So definitely a lot of need there, and I think that's kind of where service combined with Girl Scouts, and I started doing smaller community service projects with my troop in Singapore. So we volunteered at local soup kitchens, at local animal shelters, to help control the cat and dog populations, as well as socialize with the animals, because the animal culture there was very different from the US. And I also did a Habitat for Humanity build with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts in the Philippines, so we went over there. So lots of smaller community service, but it definitely had built a lot compared to when I was younger in the Bay Area.
Right. And you went to Singapore when you were how old?
I think I was 11 or 12.
Okay.
I was in 6th grade, so I started
Okay.
6th grade, and I moved back from Singapore at the end of my sophomore year, back to Novato.
What was that like for you?
Moving?
Yeah, moving back.
I think because I had done it before, it wasn't as big of a deal. It was definitely hard to leave my friends, but in Singapore, so many people were coming and going all the time. It was just something I got used to, and I knew that we would always stay in touch. And California was also my home. It was where my family would come back over the summers to see our family that lived here. So it was something I was comfortable with, but leaving my troop was definitely difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that over in Singapore, is that where you received the gold and silver award, or tell us about that?
Yeah, so first off, the silver award is the second highest award that you can earn in Girl Scouts, and usually you earn that as a cadet. And then the gold award is the highest award you can earn in Girl Scouts, and you earn that usually as an ambassador or senior, but they both center around community service projects that you plan yourself as a Girl Scout. For the silver award, it's 50 hours, and the gold award is 80 hours. But my silver award I earned in Singapore, and my gold award I earned when I came back in 2015. Or I didn't earn it, but I started working on it, and I actually finished it last fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah. But the silver award I did earn overseas, and I think that project definitely played into my gold award. So for my silver award, I worked with an NGO in Vietnam called the Blue Dragon Children's Foundation, who work to help street kids get off the street, get an education, get a job to help their family instead of going into maybe trafficking or stealing, stuff like that. So I worked to make coloring books to teach English and other topics like geography and global animals. So that was my silver award.
Is that what some of those pictures are? Is that your pictures that you're showing from Laos or from?
So there's a lot of different projects, but the picture from Vietnam is the child working on the coloring book.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my gold award I worked on in the Bay Area, and for that project I went with a similar theme of education as a catalyst for change, and I designed a unit guide to teach environmental sustainability to kids in the Bay Area. And even though the issues between Vietnam and California are very different, I found like a key theme throughout my project was education and really instilling the values in kids at a young age, because then they're inspired to make a change later.
Right.
But for my project I worked with elementary school teachers, and I taught in a first grade classroom for about 3 months, and that's some of the pictures that I brought in. One of them is me with the class at the end of the last lesson I did. I think the last lesson we did was on climate change, so the kids learned about maybe how they have an impact on the world, maybe how humans have an impact. And we read lots of books on habitats and how we play into food chains. So yeah. stuff like
Okay.
that.
So I'm just a little confused where Laos comes in. Did you do
Yes.
that when you were in Singapore?
So that's my current project. So I'm
Okay.
doing that now. So that it does get a little confusing. So my first project was Vietnam, then my gold award in the Bay Area, and now I'm currently working in Laos. And that also started kind of when I was finished, and as well as finishing up my gold award. But it's all the same idea, education. So in Laos, I'm working with a school to bolster their environmental studies curriculum. So similar to the unit I designed for schools in the Bay Area, I've been designing worksheets to teach issues of environmental sustainability that pertain to Laos. So that's stuff like ocean or river trash, because it's a landlocked country. Maybe composting instead of recycling, because they don't necessarily have ways to recycle. But yeah, so Laos is my current project, and I'm working on also helping them start their environmental studies classes
And
soon.
are you traveling back to Laos?
I'm not traveling. I'm mostly communicating over Skype and email, but a lot of my work is pretty independent. They gave me a lot of freedom to really explore and research the issues that Laos faces, and I've just been communicating with them, sending the files of the worksheets, because I've been like making them on a Word document, as well as like sketching out stuff. So I've just been sending pictures to them, and they'll send me edits back.
And how did you find these schools?
Yeah, so for both the school in Vietnam for my silver award and the school in Laos that I'm working with now, I contacted them over email. So I had a goal for my project to help with education, and I just emailed them with what I wanted to do if they needed my help. But first I researched to make sure that both organizations would really gain from what I wanted to offer, not just organizations that wanted donations. So I just emailed them, and they replied. I got really lucky, but you just have to put yourself out there. So
Yeah, very impressive. So let's now get Casey back into the conversation. And let me ask you both, what's the most challenging part of working in community organization or community service, whether it's Girl Scouts or the Marin Humane Society? What do you think is the most challenging?
Well, I think, as I said before, like putting yourself out there is the first step. But once you get over that hurdle, it's pretty easy. They really want to work with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of being able to talk to other people and being able to kind of take initiative on your own is something that you have to learn how to do to be able to kind of put yourself out there in the community and make a difference.
And obviously this community service has changed you as a person. How can you tell us more about that?
I think it's made me more independent and more confident in what I want to pursue. Yeah, definitely in that case. I definitely was really shy when I was younger. I think putting myself out there and communicating with people really changed me. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely helps with kind of confidence and again putting yourself out there, and it kind of opens your eyes to other problems around the world and around your communities, which kind of makes you yourself more aware as a person, and you can you learn how to become a problem-solving person, a communicative person, being able to talk with other people and that kind of thing.
Right. So let's talk about the future. So how does this, for both of you, how is this going to influence the choices that you're going to make, say, at Berkeley next year?
Yeah.
And for you as a junior?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be going to Berkeley because it's such a passionate place with a lot of initiative to change the world. And I think I plan to join some clubs that I really invest myself in, as well as maybe start a club of my own. But I'm just excited to continue service in my career. I want to pursue biology, and I definitely want to keep the idea of helping people while I do biology. Yeah, at Berkeley.
Yeah, I think it kind of can help me because I'm not quite at the point of going to college yet, but it can kind of help me go on a path that can still continue volunteering as I'm going on into my next few years of high school and taking bigger steps in organizations and kind of spreading out work more, and then later on being able to continue doing that for the rest of my life. It's definitely something I want to incorporate in my life no matter what.
Yeah, very, very impressive.
Thank you.
So our organization, the Seroptimists of women, also volunteer in their communities, and although we realize that volunteering is its own reward, we also know it feels good to be recognized for your actions, and that's why we sponsor this award. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
And I know our viewers would agree that Violet Richardson, the original founder of Seroptimists, would be so proud of you. And she believed in, and I think you'll like this quote, she said, "Let us continue the work together and with others toward the development of a better womanhood, a better manhood, and a better citizenship." And you both certainly share that vision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'd like to thank the Novato Community Television, NCTV, for all their production and filming expertise. Special thanks to Pam Hazley, our director, and Marcus Okun, our videographer, and Freda Kaplan, our sounding board producer.